What's happening, dudes? Toro magazine followers, I'm Damon Snider. Welcome to my garage. We're going to do another do-it-yourself project. This one today is going to be inspired by junk, basically recycled materials, leftover cut-offs, scraps, garbage, if you will. We're going to make stuff into prettier stuff, basically. I'm going to use this as my wood to make what we are going to do today, which is going to be a picture frame. I went to the local hardware store. We got some rope loop things. I got a little rope pulley, cable pulley, just to add a little bit of hardware to our picture frame. This is what's going to tie our backing to the frame to keep our picture in place. And then we got some of this rope. Go out, find a stain that you like. I always use this Jacobean color. It's kind of rich, brings out all the grain in this plywood, as you'll see sooner or later. You're gonna want some rags. You're gonna want some gloves, unless you like stained hands for a couple weeks. You're gonna need some glue, safety glasses, self-explanatory as always. Tape measurer, right? We want everything to be on point. When you're dealing with something that already exists, you're gonna wanna be able to measure that. Pencil, we're gonna mark stuff. Square, we get a 90-degree square, and it also turns to 45 when we want to make our miter cuts. Cordless drill. I use a nail gun. I have a small little mini compressor to show you here. So the first thing you want to do is find out your proportions of this frame, right? We are starting with something that is fixed, this piece of glass. So we want to find out, well, how much border around this glass do we want? So I usually just take the measurement. You know, we find out that it's about 8 inches tall, because I'm going to go landscape by 10 inches wide. So this is for your 8 by 10 picture. So then you want to hold your tape measure up, find out, you know, how much border do we really want? Well, I usually like to go probably about 3 inches all the way around, just to keep a nice meaty frame. So I'm going to start with a 3-inch frame all the way around. But I don't want to cut all my strips to 3 inches, because I want something for this piece of glass to rest on. I need a ledge on the inside so that when I put the frame in from the back, it's not going to come out from the front. So I need a 1/4 inch lip around the whole inside of the frame to keep my glass and poster in place. So I'm going to cut one strip of 3 inch, and I'm going to cut another strip of 2 3/4, which is going to be glued to each piece and give you that lip on the inside. Okay, so we just cut down that wood. As I said, we got one strip of 3 inches wide. We have another strip of 2 3/4 inches wide, and as you can see, after we glue and nail them together, it's gonna leave you with that 1/4 inch lip. This is going to be the back side, that's going to be the front side, and your piece of glass, if we can find it right here, is going to rest on that lip, and you're going to have all of your wood wrapping around the outside of the frame to hold that in place. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to glue these two pieces together. You want to make sure you get all the sawdust off. S shape all the way down. And then you'll see when you sandwich the two pieces together that the glue will start to seep out. And when you're ready and you have the edges flush, a good way to get those edges flush is to take a spare piece of wood, put it straight on the table, and push both pieces against it. Now you know that that edge is going to be perfectly flush on the outside. Take your nail gun, tack it in place in the front, and then tack it in place somewhere down here. And then now you don't need that anymore, and you can just throw in your nails. First thing first, you want to start with your first miter. So you're going to set your square to 45 degrees. You're going to go save as much material as you can. Make your first 45-degree mark. And now that we know that this is 10 inches wide, we're going to make our top piece. So from the inside of this, we're going to measure your 10 inch. I like to give a little bit of slack so you're not shoving in a piece of glass. So let's go 10 and 1/8 of an inch, right? Then you're gonna go the opposite way and make your 45 go to that mark and mark it out. Okay, so we mitered all our pieces. We got our all four corners, all four sides. You're gonna want to take your glue again, and this is where you want to really watch your fingers because it's not the easiest to glue into a corner, or sorry, nail into a corner. So a little bit of glue. I like to rub the glue together between the two pieces so it's nice and sticky. You want to nail. Now your nails are only 1.25 inches. Unless you went and got some longer ones. So you're gonna only be able to screw in, or sorry, nail in from the tops. But this is just to keep everything in place, as you can see. And then once the glue dries, you're gonna have a nice solid corner to go on. So go and finish up all the other corners. Here's your frame. It's all nailed up in the corners. This is the back, like I said. Glass goes in there. And your front looks just mitered away. Get your first rag, which is going to be your wet rag, let's call it. Then you have a nice sort of dirty rag. Well, it's going to be dirty, but it's going to be softer, and this is what you're going to do to wipe down your stain after so it's not so dark. So the first trick with stain, dunk it, make sure you're not getting too much, and you want to just evenly rub it against your wood. Making sure you got everything sort of covered. And before it dries, you want to take your dry rag and just wipe it down a little bit. So you can see already all the grains are starting to pop out. It's starting to look a little bit more richer, a little bit less like your dog made it. And we're going to carry on, finish staining the whole thing. You want to do your inside edges too because that's all going to be seen. So I decided to take this twine and make this frame more of like something that you hang from the wall as opposed to mount on the wall. So what I'm going to do is drill some holes in the corners and add the rope almost like a hanging feature where we're going to put a pulley and some knots and get sort of real creative with how we mount this thing. So first I'm going to drill a pilot hole through the center, and then we're going to drill the bigger hole to allow for the string to go through. So I'm going to mark before I jump the gun and just mark kind of, a good like 1.5 inches out from the edge on either side. So drill a little bit more, and then you're going to drill slow, and you're going to exit. You want to make sure that it's nice and straight. Change the drill bit to your 1/2 inch, which is going to allow for the rope to go through. And now that you have that pilot hole going all the way through, sorry about that, your drill just has to find that channel and go the same route as it did before. So start going straight again because it's going to be a bigger drill bit now. And then go up and literally just let your drill bit follow the hole. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rope. I've gone to the liberty of cutting this so that you guys wouldn't have to watch the tedious task of cutting rope. I'm sure it's boring. We've cleaned the holes, we've sanded it down so you don't have all those little burrs showing and all that kind of stuff. We've already cleaned up this frame. Now we're going to feed this rope through, and because twine is intertwined with multiple strands of twine, I'm going to twist it a little bit. And I'm going to twist while I'm pushing it through so that it doesn't unwind the twine, so the twine doesn't unwind while we're pushing it through the hole. You want to leave enough slack so that you can tie a knot. We want to feed our pulley, as you saw before, with the twine. We're going to let that dangle while we put the other edge through. Push this edge through the holes that we've created by twisting it through so that we can get it through the other side. And then once you get enough, we pull. And then you want to make sure that there's an even amount of twine coming out of each side. And then we're going to tie a nice little knot, where we were taught when we were tying our shoes and all that jazz. Simple knot, nothing crazy. We'll get into the crazy stuff later. So this would be enough, but we're gonna put some more rope and just make it a little bit more interesting. So I like knots and nooses and all that kind of stuff. So I've gone to the liberty of tying a noose-like knot in this twine at the top. So what you want to do is feed this through your pulley over here, and you can see that the strand is unwound. So you want to twist it through so you get all the strands through. With more scrap wood, I just cut the inner dimensions of this recess. I'm going to place it in like so. Now you have a nice flat, flush piece of backing. And with these little pieces of metal, as I showed you before, we're just going to diagonally cut the corners so that the corners of this piece that we just made are now held into place with all these screws. So when you go and flip it over, you'll see that everything's nice and solid. So you want to hold it in place, you know, just drill, not too tight. Just tight enough to snug it all in place. And flip this bad boy up, turn it around, and there you have it. You have a nice rustic, custom-made frame to house your most memorable photos. It looks pretty badass, kind of rustic, and it's pretty much all made of recycled wood and a few hardware pieces that you found from Home Depot. So go out, do it yourself. You can, I know you can, it's pretty simple. Watch the video a couple times, give Toro magazine a little shout out, and you know, maybe send pictures of what you did. It looks pretty dope. So again, I'm Damon. This is my do-it-yourself rustic picture frame. Until the next project, we'll catch you later.